And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, hello and welcome to the Weighing In Podcast. My man Josh is in Denver because his son is in a tournament for lacrosse. That's why he looks like he does with all that beautiful sunshine, red face, and gray hair. I want you to know he's older than I am. So we got all kinds of fights to talk about. We got the UFC that just occurred from Atlanta. We also have the PFL that took place in Nashville. All kinds of stuff going on. My man, how you feeling? I know you've been up all day in the sun. Do not fall asleep on me.
Man, I'm exhausted. I mean, running around with kids all day and having a good time, but the kids are doing well, and we had a good day. So, we're here all week, too. So we go to Vail from here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for a tournament there as well.
Oh.
So there's no going home. We drove up, though, because we have our dog and getting things settled in. So, and then we're home for like a weekend, and then we drive to Pennsylvania for some tournaments up there. So this next 3 weeks is going to be – this next 2.5 weeks is going to be a lot.
You putting miles on the Toyota.
No. I had to. I couldn't do it, man. I had to rent a car. Luckily, like actually, believe it or not, like we rented the car, and then like a day later, it dropped like $200 something. And I was like, all right, cool. So we literally like for a 5-day trip, I want to say it was like a little under $250.
That ain't bad.
That's not bad at all. I was
way better than putting the miles on your vehicle.
Well, we're in Pennsylvania and New Jersey for tournaments up there and some clinics and stuff. And we'll be stopping by Frankie Edgar's and Eddie Alvarez's gyms there, doing some stuff there. But while I'm up there, but yeah, for a 2 week, we're going to be up there for 2 weeks. So we rented a car for 2 weeks, and it started off at like almost $1,800. Oh, and then luckily, like I said, cars for some reason have been dropping down in prices. I don't know if they just couldn't rent them or not, but now we're down to about $800, which for the 2 weeks, not bad. That's not bad. I'm not mad at that. No,
not bad.
All right, well, let's get into the fights, man. Let's talk about these fights, and let's go right into the UFC. What are you thinking?
I'll tell you what, the UFC actually had, some of the fights tonight were just absolutely horrible, but some of them were really good. So it was a mix of, what was going on there. But I thought the, Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley as the main event, I thought Kamaru Usman looked great. He did the right thing. It was the one thing that I was worried about. I was worried, Kamaru had started his career as a wrestler, and he would take people down and ground and pound and do it again and again and get the win. And he was undefeated doing it, except for, early on in his career, one fight. And you look and you go, all that time he becomes this guy that he likes the striking, something about wrestlers. And this, Josh, all of a sudden they get a knockout and it's like, damn, that was easy. You know what? I'm going to do that again. And he was able to do it again. And then it got to the point he just left his wrestling behind. And I thought if he was going to fight Joaquin Buckley, look, he could win it. We talked about it, but he's got to go back to his wrestling. He can't be on the feet the whole time with Buckley. He's too fast. He's got too much power. He's got too many attacks with his kicks and everything. And goddamn it, Kamaru Usman wrestled again, and he looked fantastic doing it. He fought a very smart fight. I had it 49-46. I thought he lost the 5th round, and that's fine. But, great performance by him overall. But you know what? Not in the end when you're looking at it. If you're the UFC, you're also happy with Buckley. He didn't give in. He never stopped, and he was going after him in the 5th round. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for guys that are dogs that don't quit. He showed that he is that. So I think you got a win-win for the UFC here. You got a win in bringing Kamaru Usman back into the win column, and now you can utilize him with a setup, maybe Sean Brady, all these different matchups that are available to you, and you still have a win with Joaquin Buckley because he looked like a guy going after the victory all the way to the very end.
Yeah, John, I had it the same way you had it in terms of the scoring. I didn't have Buckley win any of the first 4 rounds, but I had him win in the 5th. Yeah. But then on top of that, though, first I'm going to start off on praising Kamaru Usman. He looked absolutely fantastic. The speed on the shot was great. His striking was good. He wasn't as fast. He wasn't as I thought Buckley was going to be a lot faster. That wasn't the case. Like Kamaru Usman has some straight punches down the pipe, stayed very clean with his defense. He's a very sound fighter. Like when people talk about like fighters that are disciplined, he's a very disciplined fighter. He made the mistake against Leon Edwards, like bringing the hand across, getting caught with the kick. I thought Buckley at the very end was going to try to use that same technique. You could see Usman leaving himself a little bit out of position towards the end when it started getting a little hairy in there. But man, Kamaru Usman looked fantastic. I can't say enough. I haven't seen him look that. We haven't seen him. I don't know if you have, but for me, I felt like he hasn't looked that good in a long time. He looked clean. He looked crisp. He looked like he was reinvigorated to be a top welterweight again. Like that. Injuries will play a huge mental, like it just puts a mental block in you. You just can't get past it. Like, oh, am I going to fight again? Oh, I can't. It really wears on you as an athlete. It just breaks you down. You could tell when he got the win, it was like that, like he said, monkey off his back, that pressure. I'm happy for him. I actually had texted him over earlier in the day. I said, hey, man, best of luck tonight. Get it done. And he's like, hey, man, I appreciate it, brother. Like, it just felt good. Because a lot of times, John, I rooted against him. And I said, no more. I can't root against him anymore. I have to be legit. I got to be like, hey, if you use your wrestling and your stand-up is on par, you're defensively pretty damn sound. Like I said, outside of the Leon mess up. But outside of that, man, he has all the tools, all the weapons. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. People have overlooked him over the years. And I was one of those guys, and I have to be 100% honest.
One of those guys.
But you got to be upfront. Like, and I told him to his face, man, I overlooked you several times. I said, no more. I couldn't overlook you in this fight. So I just said, like, if you went back to your wrestling, like we talked about, but then on top of it, he was faster inside there than I thought, or at least I recalled. He did everything great. Great job by him. And then also to touch on what you said about Buckley, I wanted to spend more time on the winner. Yeah. But I want to say too with Buckley, man, great job. You're young. Nope. You got a lot more a career ahead of you. This was definitely a learning experience. You're going to end up fighting guys that have these type of abilities. But Kamaru right now he's healthy. He seems like he's firing on all cylinders. I had to be in a great fight. Great job for him. I'm happy for Kamaru Usman getting the win. But Buckley, though, big step up in competition. That's a huge step up in competition. Came up a little bit short, but he was loading up a little bit too much. If I wanted to pick anything out of it, he was loading up too much, which made it a little bit easier to get taken down. And on top of it is he already got the power. He doesn't need to load up. And that's one takeaway that I got from the Buckley fight on how he fought. But, man, overall, great job, man. Great job. Like, by both fighters, good fight, tough fight. Usman just had the number tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I thought Dominic Cruz, said it best when he said, look at Buckley's going to be a whole lot better after this fight. And I think he's right, because he's going to learn. He made some mistakes. And in those, sometimes you think exactly where the fight's going to play out and stuff. And you know what? That opponent across from you has got a different plan, and their plan works and yours doesn't. And so you learn from it. And I think he's going to learn from it. I look at it both ways. I think both guys are going to come out, better for that fight. Usman's back, and Buckley is still a major presence in that welterweight division, and will be for a while. So really enjoyed that one.
No, I definitely
Rose Namajunas. Yeah. Rose Namajunas against Miranda Maverick. Did you think she got the fight the way she did? I did. I had it exactly like that.
What do you mean?
Did you have it 30-27 or 29-28 for Rose?
I had it 29-28 for Rose.
So you gave the second round to Miranda off of that choke.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, it was close. It
was a close round.
I'm not splitting hairs. Like, I felt like one was a little bit more threatening of a position than what Rose did the rest of the time. But nothing was like extremely close. I mean, like, if it went the other way at 30-27, I didn't complain about it. I wasn't listening to the sound, so I don't know what the judges had written it. So when you brought it up to me, it caught me off guard. But I believe it was 28.
Two of them had 30-27, one had 29-28. And I agree with the 29-28, but I'm not upset with the 30-27. I understand it. But I thought Rose really looked good.
Yeah.
Her movement was good. She had to I thought the first round was really close, but it was the difference in the accuracy and the power that Rose was hitting the heavier shots, and you could see the effect it was having on Miranda. Miranda was coming back and firing back and trying, but what she's landing, it wasn't as effective as what Rose was landing. So I gave Rose the first round off it. I gave Miranda, so going into the third, and Rose took it over. She did a great job in that third round. But I actually think this is a really good win for Rose based upon where Miranda is strong, that she does take a good shot, and she was coming into this kind of riding a high. So a real good win for Rose Namajunas.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one. Like, you can see the physical size difference when you saw the two of them in there. Like, Miranda thick, and like, just when I saw her walking in, they showed the fight, saw the part of her walking into the arena. I was like, damn, she had like traps on traps, and like her neck like looked physically as big as mine did when I was fighting. And I was like, damn, like you're just like I put the you against Rose, and I'm thinking to myself, man, there's such a difference in body styles. Yep. Thick legs, like thick trunk, like thick neck, and then you got Rose, tall, skinny, slender, whatever it is. I wouldn't say tall, but you know what I mean. Like
she's
slender.
Lanky.
Yeah, she's lanky for the body style. So, but I thought Rose fought a very good fight, but what I loved about Rose in this fight was she wasn't afraid to take it to the ground. She got to the top position. She was like, that will always throw off a really good jiu-jitsu person or someone that's good in the wrestling, grappling area. If you can take them down, if you can be the top position, they start kind of like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I was the one that's supposed to be getting the takedown. And it kind of throws off the game plan a little bit, because now you're just thinking that fighter's going to stay away, move. But man, Rose just, I think at 120, at 125, she's not the same fighter she was at 115. And I want to see that fighter. And I just don't know if we're going to ever get that out of 125. I almost want her to go back down to 115 just so I can see her fight as a champion. But she's doing well right now. That's a huge win. I think Miranda Maverick is a big win for her. Big win for her.
I agree with you. I looked at it when she was 115 based upon her length and how tall she is comparatively to the other 115ers, and her length, it really was an advantage for her. Not that her body was, she wasn't big, but her length really worked effectively for her. Now she's average sized when she goes into 125s. She doesn't have a length advantage or anything like that.
Yeah, John, we can't be calling girls big, okay? You gotta.
I'm not. I'm saying length.
Gotta be
I'm being smart.
How we talk about this girl. These females.
That's true. That's true. But that was a really good win. Shahbazyan against Petroski. I'll tell you what, Shahbazyan looked as good as he's ever looked. Knowing Petroski, and Petroski's tough, he's a good wrestler. And Shahbazyan did a great job of keeping Petroski on his back foot, keeping him in an uncomfortable position, attacking him with a beautiful jab. The jab sometimes was snapping his head back like it was a Pez dispenser. And Shahbazyan just about throughout that entire fight was in control. Petroski came in on a couple takedowns. And when he got him down, he was right back up and getting away from him. And you look and you go, man, you're improving. And this is, sometimes this is what happens. He changed camps. It's not easy to change camps and just look fantastic right off of that. It takes time. It takes all of this, you got to believe in your coaches. They got to believe in you. And you got to start listening to their game planning and understanding what they want you to do in the fight. And you could see him when he was in the cage fighting. I'm watching a guy and he's shaking his head yes, because he's listening to what they're saying, and I got it. And you look and you go, all right, you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. They like you. You like them. And it's starting to show in the performances. So that was another big win right there. That's 2 in a row for Shahbazyan. And you look and you go, a very good win against a tough guy in Petroski.
Yeah, it's always extremely difficult to leave a camp and then try to get a win in your next fight. It's so many things change. So with Shahbazyan, the fact that he was able to come in and get the win and dictate the pace of the fight, I thought the whizzer was a huge deal for him, because there was a couple times where he almost got taken down. He was able to whizzer himself to a good position.
Yep.
Fight off the takedown and get himself right back to his feet. That's one of the most underutilized weapons right now in the UFC when it comes to sprawling and brawling. And I thought he did a great job in that. The reason why I'm bringing it up, because you had brought it up too, but I'm bringing it up as well, is it's so difficult, because I want people to go back or look forward actually a little bit when Ilia Topuria fights. He's fighting a very extremely tough person in Charles Oliveira. He is switching camps. We are over here giving Shahbazyan the love that he deserves because it's so difficult to do that. That may not work out for Ilya. Now, Ilya is a different breed, obviously. He's champion at 145, coming up, trying to do something that not everyone can do. But in no token I want people to understand that it's very difficult to do what Shahbazyan's been able to do. And at that top of the chain, it's going to be even more difficult for someone like an Ilya Taporia to do it. So I know there's a ton of expectations for Ilya, but it's so difficult. That's why I think Shahbazyan deserves such a pat on the back or like whatever you want to get. Like it's spectacular. I can't say enough how difficult it is to have success going from one gym to another.
Yeah.
So my voice is a little hoarse because I've been yelling all day. So it's kicking in. And I forgot to grab a drink and to come down. So we're screwed. You guys are going to have to deal with it. But
grab an element. It'll work for you.
There you go. Okay, you got Cody Garbrandt versus Ronnie Barcelos.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing that same thing you said with Joaquin Buckley. God damn it! I wish Cody Garbrandt would just start touching people and not throwing hard. He's got such speed, and he has the ability. You don't quit trying to throw hard. You can see how when he's trying to throw hard, he gets a little bit more exhausted. He loses his position. He throws himself out of position. He overextends, and he doesn't need to do it. I'm just looking at a guy that, you know what, and I'm nothing against Ronnie Barcelos. He won the fight. Beautiful job. It was a close fight. He came back from that first round, but Cody Garbrandt, in many ways, based upon the way he fought that, he gave that fight away to Ronnie Barcelos.
Yeah.
He should have won that fight. When you're looking at the way they were fighting, he allowed Barcelos to control too much of the cage as far as pushing him, when all he had to do, use that jab, flick it, pop him. If he's running into that thing consistently every time he comes forward, it just mentally he stops coming forward. He says, I can't, he's going to tell him, I can't. So he stops instead of coming and chasing you down. I just look at Cody as he's got such talent, but sometimes just he's trying for the knockout. He's trying for that big moment, and he doesn't have to do it. It's going to come if you just start touching people.
Yeah. There's guys that we have come across in training or through the years of watching them fight. Certain guys have power, but they always felt like they had to load up. I got to be honest, man. Phil Baroni, Gray Maynard, those two guys had such power. All they had to do was touch you. But they felt the need to sit down, load up. Like you could see it coming. They would go squat down and then you could see it coming. Didn't mean it didn't land. It still got there sometimes. But they have that power and that ability. Cody Garbrandt is somebody that like you can see when he's getting ready to throw. He almost like squats down and throws a hard shot. But he doesn't need to because he's so fast. Like, use that speed with power. Most fighters that have knockout power, they don't have the speed of Cody Garbrandt. And most fighters that have the speed that Cody Garbrandt, they definitely don't have the knockout power. So the fact that he's been blessed with both, it would be nice if, like you said, he just touch, and then it'll come. Guys like Nick and Nate Diaz, right? They don't have power. But they've got a lot of TKOs and KOs and things like that because they would just touch you, slap you, touch you, slap you, and then all of a sudden you're getting stalked and slapped, and you're like getting mad, and now they touch you with a hard one, and it's over, and then they jump a guillotine or they do whatever. But anyways, the Cody situation is very frustrating from the outside looking in because you see all the talent, you see everything he's doing, but I think also too, as a former fighter and other people that I've talked to also, the tattoo on the face, the other stuff going on, it's almost like a midlife crisis. Yeah. Like he's going through. There's more to it than just fighting. It seems like he's fighting some inner demons. He's got some other things going on, and it's sad because he's so talented, so blessed, and he's got all the tools and everything that a lot of fighters wish they had. But something's going on. There's something else going on with him that I don't think people can put their hands, put their finger on. So,
yeah. But he's gonna sit down and he's gonna watch that fight, and he's going to go, oh, right there. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, and it was all about, all you had to do was touch, man.
Yeah.
As he's coming forward, man, flick that jab out, set him up with a 1-2. And you look and you go, it's there for you. And he's trying for that knockout. And it's like, you don't have to try. It'll come. You're talking about, Nick and Nate, they would volume you to the point of putting you unconscious, and he did it to a lot of people, and it's just, you can only take so many shots before your brain starts to, decide, okay, we've had enough, we're shutting down, and anybody can be put out. It's just, sometimes it's a one shot, sometimes it's with 15, but with either way, it's a knockout.
Yeah.
All right, we had Mansour Abdul-Malik going up against Cody Brundage. This stopped early. It was a technical decision in the end, but what did you think of the fight?
John, I thought I was actually shaping up to be a good fight, but then I actually clicked off because I had to run through the check-in thing for the car station. So I had to pay my ticket, and then I clicked back on. I didn't see what happened, why it stopped. So can you
Oh, my God. All right, well, let's go over this because I thought
on my phone as I'm trying to get through parking and pay my parking ticket. And
for the first 2 rounds, I thought both guys were too cautious. I thought both guys, they had opportunities to do so. I thought Cody Brundage was fighting a smart fight in trying to he wasn't diving for takedowns against a guy he knew could wrestle also and stuff, and was doing well with the stand-up as far as he was going for counters. I thought Malik was landing the more powerful shots overall, but all of a sudden the third round starts, and I'm kind of expecting the same thing, and these guys come out and they start blitzing each other and just going after it. And they were throwing down, and it was like, holy shit, this is what we're talking about. This is what and they came together at a certain point. There was a knee thrown, and when they came together off of the knee, there was a clash of the heads that occurred. And so that is what put Cody down. Malik finished him off there, but they went back on the replay and saw that it was a clash of heads. And so there was, 36 seconds of the third round that took, place. But off of that, being it's the third round, it's entered the third round, you can go to a technical decision. That's what they did, and the judges had Mansour Malik ahead on the scorecard, so he gets the technical decision. I know Brendan Fitzgerald said he's never been to decision and still hasn't, I guess. No, that's called a decision, so now he's had his first decision. But it was that third round was great.
Yeah, because
all 36 seconds.
Cody just came across the cage and was like, let's start throwing down.
Yeah, let's go.
And they kind of met in the middle. Cody was able to kind of push him back. There were some exchanges against the fence. And then I saw that he got dropped, and I thought, okay. But then I thought it was over, so I put the phone down and had to pay my parking ticket and started to worry about the next thing. And then I just clicked on. I didn't realize that it was a technical decision. I didn't know that. Yeah. So I wasn't watching it with sound. I was literally in the car with the kids and everything like that. So, but what did you think of the first 2 rounds?
I thought the first 2 rounds were very they were fought the way these guys were told, hey, I need you to go out and do this, and they were trying to do that, and it was a matter of, I'm trying to counter you, you're trying to counter me, and so who's going to throw first? And it kind of got to that, and it tended to be that Malik would be the guy that started to throw first, and then Cody was trying to counter off of him. But then it switched over with Cody and stuff. But they were decent rounds, but they weren't exciting rounds. The third round was exactly what you want to see, and this is where I said this, and I said it off of the fight before it and this one, because my wife came in. She goes, how are the fights? And I go, it's kind of like Josh says. You know what? No one's bringing out the dog. There's a bunch of people that are not fighting, like their jobs and their careers are on the line, and no one's bringing out the dog. And in that 36 seconds both of them brought out the dog. They said, I'm biting down, I'm going for it, and they did, and it made that whole fight. I don't care what happened in the first 2 rounds. It was that 36 seconds of that third round. It made that fight.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. When both fighters were just wondering whether they won the first 2 rounds because they both left it up to the judges, basically realizing that either round could have went either way. Yeah. It was just to be honest, it was kind of a boring fight. It was a very lackluster fight, I should say.
Yeah.
They were basically tit for tatting. Like, let me throw the push kick hard up the middle. Let me just throw the quick combination with no chance of it really landing. So let me throw to show that I'm trying, but I'm not really trying. And that was very frustrating, I think, if you're sitting there watching. And then I watched the beginning of the third round, like, this is exactly how you should fight. Exactly how you should fight. So, look, and I know it's easier said than done. Like, people are so afraid of losing, and that's some of the biggest problem, I think, with the pay scale, which the UFC handles their pay, is 50-50. And so everyone's like, I can't afford. I need the money. I need to make the full amount. And they won't take chances like they normally should because they're afraid to lose that. But this is what happens in the fight game. You clash heads. Sometimes the refs catch it. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes those kind of things happen.
I was waiting for you to say it, dude.
I know. I had to throw it in there. You got Alonzo Menifield versus Umar C.
Yeah, this was exactly what I was you're talking about. Is it was a boring fight. It was a fight that neither guy looked like they were, really, I need to win this fight. And Alonzo Menifield, at times, he would get in there, and it's funny because Alonzo Menifield is a tank. He's put together and, strong looking and everything, but he was outsized by Omar's, C so much. Yeah. I was just looking at their feet. Omar C has to have a size 18 foot. Because Alonzo Menifield is not a small guy.
No.
So he's got to have a size 10, 11 foot. And it was like, holy shit, look at the difference in the size of these guys as far as just length and everything. But I looked at this fight exactly, what you're talking about. Who the fuck wants to win this fight?
Yeah.
Who the fuck's out there saying, hey, man, I need this? And you looked and it was like, Alonzo, you could tell he got hit with some shots in the first round that kind of stung him, and he was trying to throw shots without getting himself too deep in so that C could counter him, and he was already trying to back out. As he's throwing those shots, he's already trying to back out so he doesn't get hit, and you look and you go, man, you can't do that, brother. You got to follow through. You got to go into it. So, and you could hear his coach, you could hear, Saeed, saying, hey, man, you got to, step in, use your feet, step in, right? And it's like, I think he got hit. He doesn't want to step in. But, that first round he lost based upon he kind of got hurt, but came back. It wasn't exciting, but he did enough to win the next two. But this is the kind of fight that I looked at. And this is what will bring a card and go, it'll crash it because it's just not entertaining to watch.
All right. The controversy of the night tonight was Paul Craig versus the Dolphin Bellato.
Why was it a controversy? Why? I don't understand.
I mean, Paul Craig should have won, right?
Why?
Well, you're okay with the John Jones.
That's the last thing that I would have said is that he could have been DQ'd.
Well,
could have lost.
You said John Jones, his one should be removed from his record because of the 12-6 elbow. Now that's a legal rule.
Okay, so do me do me a favor. Do me a favor. Tell me the time that even when you were fighting or, anytime since you've been, out of fighting and commentating stuff, tell me the time that that you said that a knee on the ground didn't make you a grounded fighter.
Well, John, I was fighting before they had rules, so it didn't really. There's no rules. It's very simple. I was fighting in, John. They didn't have rules, John. Like, there was soccer kicks to the head.
There were.
There was no mouthpieces. They just cared that you wore gloves, and half the time you didn't have to wear.
No,
gloves.
you didn't have to do that at the beginning either. So
you didn't tape them. You didn't do any of that stuff. Yeah.
But the whole thing is, Paul Craig is sits there and it's like he goes he actually goes down into the position that Bellato was in with one knee on the ground and one knee up. That's the position he was in, and you threw an up kick to a grounded fighter. What do you want, dude? You did it. And he's like, no, he's like this. And it's like, even that wasn't part of the rule change. It was, you used to be able to put your hands down to the ground with your feet on the ground and it would make you a grounded fighter. We've always had it. You know what? Any part of your body that touches the ground, knees, elbows, butts, backs, you're grounded. Nothing's changed. And you went and decided to throw an up kick when he's on one knee. Good job. You lose, or you're lucky enough to get a draw. No contest.
Do you think there was some acting involved?
You know, I'm going to be honest. When I've always said, hey, look at the first reaction of the fighter. Okay, and his first reaction is like, what? Exactly. Yeah. But then he kind of does this. He puts himself all the way back, and his eyes kind of go, and he goes, it was the way he kind of came back that tells me I think his brain shut off. The human brain does some weird things at times. And the way he came back and he was like, I look and I go, he might have actually gone out, almost like you see people, on like the slingshot stuff where you get, they get shot from the ground up into the air and the bungee, and you see them go out, and stuff. Almost like that, he moved his head in a certain way after getting kicked, and then his brain went and went off. So there was no reason.
Bungee, John, that's from having a panic attack because they're fucking afraid of heights.
Hold on. There's no reason for him. He's not in a position he has to fake.
Why do you say that?
Because it's simple as far as he was fouled. It was clear that he was fouled, right? He can sit there and without faking like he's going out, he can sit there and say, you know what, I don't feel right, or I'm seeing double or whatever. He doesn't have to go through all of the manipulations. I'm not saying that it didn't look a little bit funky in the beginning, but the way that he did come back made me almost think, you know what, his brain might have turned off.
Yeah.
So, because he did some funky stuff that you normally don't see people do.
Mr. McCarthy said your brain shuts off quite a bit these days. So
yeah, my brain hasn't popped on in years.
Well, and she said in both heads kind of shuts off sometimes.
There's this one problem this man has never had, so I don't know about that.
That it's never turned on.
Yeah, it's never turned on.
I just look.
What did you think?
I mean, like I kind of saw two different types of arguments. One was like he was winning the fight. He didn't really need to fake it. That was one argument. Two is I didn't run with that argument only based on the fact that fighters don't know the rules. They're always trying to game the system. Every single fighter will try to game the system.
Sure.
And you've been around top world class fighters. You've been around, fairground fighters like myself. And so when it comes to those guys, they're always trying to game the system. Like, okay, like when they turn to the ref. So if I can't continue, do I win? How many times have you heard that, John?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So I mean, like in this situation, I felt like he was gaming the system a little bit. But like you said, we don't know. The brain's a very mysterious thing. I mean,
it is.
They have no idea how it reacts. And I mean, like I said, I've been hit, wide awake, eyes wide open, but couldn't move my body to protect my face from hitting the canvas. And then I hit the canvas. And
but you're still connected as far as you're still connected physically as far as your sight and your sound, and where you're at, but you're not connected to your body.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of look at the brain does weird things. So I'm just gonna go with it was a funky way. Paul Craig is responsible for the up kick. It was wrong. He was a grounded fighter, and Paul Craig's lucky to come away with a no contest.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's just like we got to have you film your John McCarthy by the rules either tonight or tomorrow, so we can drop that so people can walk through. I looked at it as a fighter like gaming the system, but then I had played all these other scenarios in my head, like why he was winning the fight.
Yep.
And even still, fighters don't know the rules because I'm one of those past fighters that still didn't know the rules. And then, like I said, fighters will often ask, like, okay, if I can't continue, do I win? They always want to know how they can game the system. And they'll literally ask the referee in the cage. So if I can't go on, like, do I win? Like, am I going to end? Those are things that you start to, and it just seemed a little, like, forced.
It was awkward.
It was very awkward.
But it was really awkward because he was trying to grapple with the referee.
Yeah.
He actually he's hooking the leg behind. He's getting his leg inside. I'm like, he thinks he's still in a fight, but a little weird.
Well, that goes back to my argument is that when fighters are kind of knocked out semi, but not really, like their body automatically does what they've been trained to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
No doubt
like
about
when
it.
we go back to the California Commission and try to appeal my case, right? I'll be like, see, this is what happens. Your body just automatically wants to do that. They said
Well,
I
you
got
did that. You did it so well that there was no way that your brain was disconnected. So good job. You're a hell
this
of an actor.
guy just pulled half guard on a ref. That he did it so well,
That's
and he was
it.
out. So
All
all
right,
right, well,
Michael Chiesa against Court McGee. What'd you think?
I
Did he
didn't get
get
a
hit?
fight. No, my
Yeah,
son was still playing. I did see the Wellmaker highlight. I didn't see the fight though. We were still
yeah,
playing lacrosse at this time when these came on.
yeah. I'm going to tell you the Chiesa versus McGee fight. You know, you'll get certain times where you put two fighters together that it's just ugly. And when I say ugly, it's not that that they're both not trying to fight. It's just that their styles engage in such a different fashion that the fight's got no flow and looks disconnected, and there's just no rhythm to it at all. It just nothing is smooth, nothing's working well. Neither guy's landing good shots really, and that's really what happened throughout that fight. So
Yeah.
I thought I had Michael Chiesa winning it, but it was close, and it wasn't like it was one of those fights that you look and you go, okay, we can never do that again, and it'll probably be good. Their styles just do not mesh for a clean, fun fight to watch.
Yeah,
But
that was a fight I really wanted to see. Just didn't get an opportunity to watch it because obviously I love the old dogs, and John's like the old dog. I'm like the old dog of their era kind of thing. But yeah, I wanted to see the fight, but it did, like we talked about it. It kind of made sense. Either Court's gonna be able to keep it on the feet and try and outstrike him, or Michael's gonna be able to get the fight to the ground, and it'll be kind of a grimy, hanging on, dirty fight kind of thing. And I'm assuming that's how it ended up since Chiesa won the fight.
yeah. It really never hardly went to any ground action at all. More a couple of clinches, was on the feet for just about the entire thing. So, but like I said, just the styles, they just did not connect. They just the way that they both do things, it just everything their positioning was kind of off on each other, and just everything just didn't look like it flowed well for either one of them. They both had problems with range and everything. So, all right, Malcolm Wellmaker going up against Chris Moutinho. Chris coming back after having some tough fights against guys like Sean O'Malley and stuff. Wellmaker being the guy that's undefeated. And boy, he kept that going. That was a hell of a shot that he hit him with, knocking him out. Beautifully done. This kid's good, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, what is he, undefeated? What is he, 10-0?
10-0, yeah.
Because we watched Chris when he came in and he fought Sean O'Malley. Didn't look like he'd be knocked out. He took a lot of shots. Now, Sean obviously doesn't have the power that Wellmaker has, but what I did like out of Wellmaker was like the feint, like with the fake knee and then throwing the hook, those kind of things, getting them to bring their hands down.
Exactly.
It was almost, it's like a feint, but not really. Like it was something like he thought about throwing the kick, didn't work.
Well, he had thrown the kick earlier. He just had thrown the kick, it landed, and then he came back and he throws the fake with it, and you could see Chris's hand goes down to block, and he goes right over the top of it.
Just beautiful. Yep, good stuff. Cody Durden, Jose Ochoa.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jose Ochoa just looked really good. His Cody Durden, has been around the UFC for quite a while. Good wrestler out of Georgia, everything. I refereed him long before he was in the UFC. He's a tough guy. He's tough. He'll go out and he'll fight. He'll scrap. He had no answer for Ochoa in this one. He got through the first, but man, you could tell he got hit with some shots that were hurting him. And then Ochoa came out right away in the second round and just put him away with a beautiful shot that he was out going down. He hit the ground. It kind of got him a little bit up. One shot, he was out again. The referee was trying to find his position to get him out of there. It was a beautiful performance by Ochoa.
Ricky Simón versus Cameron Smotherman.
You know what? Ricky Simón just being the guy who goes out there and just, picks people up, puts them on the ground and keeps them there. Cameron was not able to stop most of the takedowns. Third round, he was able to keep it on the feet for a lot of it. Made, that a good round for him. But, Ricky Simón just looked like Ricky Simón. Ricky's got that. He's like I don't want to say it in a bad way. He's the the version of Merab that people think they can beat. Because he's got the wrestling. Maybe the wrestling's not quite as good as Merab's. He's got cardio. Maybe the cardio's not quite as good as Merab's. But man, he beat Merab. So he's putting himself in that position. That's another win for him where you look and you go, well, at this point, he's getting a lot of wins. He's looking good. And that's 2 wins in a row. I know he had a bunch of losses there, but that's 2 wins in a row for him. He's back on the right track, and just get a couple more. And Ricky Simón might be in a position that he gets a chance at Merab again. I'm sure Merab would want that.
Possibly. Any other fights on here you want to chat about?
Nah, it's all good.
All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the PFL. Before we do that, though, I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support our show. Hit the Element link down below in the description. They'll send you a bonus package with every purchase. I want to take a bunch of cool photos with the lacrosse stuff with the kids, with the Element cans and the Element sparkling, the Element packets. So the kids have been enjoying it. It's been hot up here. It's been 91 degrees in Denver. A little breeze today, as you can tell. I got some windburn on my forehead. Cheeks are getting a little red, but
I'll tell you what, the sun's bleaching your beard because it's looking like very blonde.
I'm distinguished.
Distinguished. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the truth. It's gray.
We call this salt and pepper and distinguished.
Is that what you call it?
Chicks dig it.
I call it old.
Chicks.
I have it too.
Well, not all of us die. We get it.
That's true. Not all of us do. Oh, you lying son of a bitch. If there's one thing you can ask everyone, since I have given so much grief to everyone about don't dye your hair, man. If you can't take being old, then you know what? Suck it up, Buttercup.
Miss McCarthy's a ride or die. She would lie for you on a dime. She would lie for you no matter what. And
doesn't have to lie about that one.
Who's going to verify whether she said that or not? No one. So whatever I say goes. Miss McCarthy.
So you're going to now lie.
Yes.
Just because yes. Okay. All right.
I'm going to call her up and talk to her about it and ask her.
Yeah, there's no reason for that. I'll just make up the story myself.
Let me spread misinformation properly, please.
Okay, you got it.
I got some good news, ladies and gentlemen.
Our podcast, Weighing In, was the first podcast to ever partner with OnlyFans,
bringing you guys the best content we possibly can in the combat sports industry.
We are making some leeway on bringing sports to the OnlyFans platform,
where top-tier, world-class athletes can connect with their fans. We're talking about combat sports athletes like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Chris Cyborg,
Luke Rockhold,
AJ McGee.
We've also got pro surfers like Billy Kemper. Some chilling news.
I want you to head on over to the Weighing In OnlyFans channel.
More connection with our fans on our OnlyFans channel.
Only available on OnlyFans.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go right into the PFL.
PFL was on Thursday. All right, we had Thad Gene taking on Jason Jackson in the main event. It was a good fight. It really was, but
it was a great fight.
I did not believe that Thad Gene won the fight. I had Jason Jackson winning at 29-28. I thought Thad fought. He had a good first round. He put Jason down with a jab. He's got power. He's athletic. He's physically strong. You can see it, but he made a lot of mistakes that led to. Jason Jackson came back, and I don't know what the judges who were judging it saw in Thad Gene that gave him that. Maybe it was the crowd because he had a lot of people in the crowd, and that's good. But I actually, had it 29-28, and I know that verdict scoring had it 29-28 for Jason Jackson. That's a pretty good calculation when you look at it about who probably won the fight.
Yeah. I mean, no homer involved either in this situation. Like, I'm friends with Jason Jackson, know his managers, his agents, everything like that. He's a great guy. We've called his fights before, but I thought he just won. I thought he won 29-28. I thought I thought he did enough to win.
Yeah.
The fact that one judge had it for that Gene 30-27 was fucking atrocious.
Ridiculous.
Like, John, I'm not. We've talked about this on the show quite a bit, and I'm the last person to go out there and be like, "Oh, it was a robbery." It wasn't a robbery. It was a close fight.
No, it was a close fight.
Let's call it what it was. It was a close fight. But that doesn't mean that I can't give my opinion on the fact that I thought that Jason Jackson won the fight. I thought it was 29-28. It was a close decision, but I thought he definitely did enough to win the fight. So, Thad though proved a lot to me. He proved a lot to me.
Yeah.
I thought for sure Jason would take him down, control the top position. Thad did a lot of good things in terms of keeping his back off the fence, keeping his back off the ground, getting himself, getting back up to his feet right away. He did a lot of really good things that I wasn't expecting him to do once the fight hit the ground. So I got to tip my hat to him. See how he does against Logan Story. That's a different level of wrestling.
Yep.
And control and top control. But I was honestly, man, we're going to see Logan Storley and Jason Jackson, two teammates from Kill Clinic.
Yeah, no.
I thought we were going to see that. We might end up with a better fight because we didn't see that, though.
Yeah, I actually think you will. And I look at it. I'm going to say it this way. I think for the PFL, it was good that Thad Gene got the decision. I think he's super young. He's 26 years of age. He is got a great personality. He is someone that people get behind. He fights hard. It's you're trying to build young stars and stuff. That's a way to go. Nothing, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jason Jackson. Jason's 34. He's still got years left in him. But if you're the PFL, it's not a horrible thing that Thad Gene got the decision.
No, I agree. I agree. It just goes back to how promotions actually can buy the judges. We get it. Okay.
Oh, damn. See, what are you doing? You can't say that. That is just horrible. Horrible.
Well, it's got to go both ways. We can't just talk about them buying the UFC buying the judges. We got to talk about the PFL doing it too. Come on. They've got fighters they want to push. We get it. Come on.
Jesus Pinedo took on Gabriel Braga in a trilogy fight. Both guys that had one win apiece. The first one being Gabriel Braga getting a decision against Pinedo. Pinedo coming back and stopping Gabriel Braga in the finals for the $1 million cash prize in the PFL championship fight. So this one was the rubber match, and Pinedo came out, man, and he put it on him. He put it on him fast. He put it on him hard. Pinedo is good. Yeah. He is a version of Carlos Condit to me. He comes out, he's a stone cold killer. He's not super fast in the way he throws things, but he's effective with his shots. He's got power, and he is not afraid to get hit. He will take shots to give shots. Yeah. He's a tough fighter.
John, in no way are they similar. I mean, there's some similarities, but I put him, when I first saw Pinedo, I put him in the category where I first saw Justin Gaethje when he was fighting the World Series fighting.
Yeah, World Series of fighting. Yeah.
And I was like, he's not that good. I was like, he makes too many mistakes. Like, he's fighting lesser guys. But Pinedo kind of has that feeling of he's good. And Justin's proven me wrong multiple times now. But I'm simply saying Justin was a fantastic fighter back then. He struggled against some guys that I'm like, oh, you should walk through this guy. Now we don't know why. Maybe it was just a style matchup. Maybe it was that he didn't take him serious in camp. Whatever it was. Yeah. Then he comes to the UFC and has success, right? But I feel like Pinedo, because Pinedo's been in the UFC, didn't have success, left. Now he's in the PFL, having success. Just need a little bit more time, maybe. But
yeah, you need to put him in that a little bit more seasoning
of someone who doesn't look great, or sometimes has moments where but they're dogs. And that's kind of what the UFC needs. They need guys that will bite down mouthpiece, that will throw and exchange, will wrestle a little bit when they need to. They're an anti-wrestler too when they need to be. Pinedo's a tough fight for anyone. And I'm still a little upset we never got the Patricio Pitbull and Pinedo fight.
Yeah.
Never got that fight. That was the fight that I wanted to see in the Champion Series. And then it was going to be Braga and Pitbull, and then Braga's dad just passed a week before, and then he pulled out. But all these things. But Pinedo is somebody that he's fun to watch fight. He's going to take a shot to give a shot. And like you said, Carlos Condit, he's a dog. He's someone that will die on his show kind of thing. And I feel like those are the kind of guys you need to kind of insert into the UFC, or have guys like that, because we're lacking that right now in the sport, in the major fights.
Yeah. Well, that
Good
puts
on him,
Pinedo
though.
into the finals, so that'll be a fun one to go with. We had Logan Storley taking on Masayuki Kikokuri, and putting on a demonstration as far as wrestling. Took some shots in the second round, kind of didn't look that good, and then came back and did what he does best. Took it to the ground and pound, just dominated the third round to get the unanimous decision.
Yeah, I mean, it was just straight wrestling, like a clinic. Like every time I got to your legs, I pretty much took you down. I controlled you and then put your back flat to the mat. He's going to have a harder time getting Thad Gene down, though. Not just because of the wrestling. I think Thad's wrestling's not good enough to stop Logan Storley's, but the speed in which he can deliver the knees up the middle, combinations, the long range, and just having the confidence to throw it. Some guys have great stand-up, but they don't have the confidence to let it go when you're fighting a good wrestler. We see it all the time.
True.
Thad Gene's like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just going to just throw my shots, and if something lands, they're going.
If there was one thing that impressed me about Thad Gene was when he was taken down by Jason Jackson, his ability to get back to his feet, because he does turn his back quick.
Yeah.
But it's the way he does it and how fast he's getting up that causes a problem for his opponent. And I want to see, is he going to be able to do that against Logan Storley? Is Storley going to be able to stop it, or is it going to work for him there? And if it does work for him against Logan Storley, he's going to have Logan's going to have a tough time in that fight, because on the feet, Thad Gene's got a lot more power than Logan.
Yeah, he's got a lot more speed too.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have both of those things is like a Cody Garbrandt. It's dangerous, just nasty. So, next fight,
Movlid Kabalayev taking on Tai Kim from South Korea. Actually was not a bad fight. Tai Kim came in there saying that he was better than Kabalayev everywhere, and I was like, wow, that's a bold statement, son. It's like, I'm waiting to see that. It was not true. It did not happen. Kabalayev was actually better everywhere. He was the better wrestler by far. He was the better striker, actually. And so he gets the win. He moves on to the finals. But it was, I'll give Kim credit. He fought tough, man. He never stopped. He never quit. And we know how good Movlid is.
Kim was trying to talk it into existence.
Yeah.
If I say it, it's going to happen. Right?
That's it.
Like George is finally have a full beard one of these days.
Adam Board's taking on Jeremy Kennedy. This was a good fight. It went back and forth, because Adam Borch wins the first round. Jeremy Kennedy comes back out and he takes the second round clearly. And it's one of those, I'm looking at Borch thinking, this is that time when he starts to kind of fold in a little bit. And he did it. He came out, man. He fought hard. He threw shots. It was a good round for him. He takes the third round and gets a majority decision. One of them went 28-28 on it. I don't know how, but
I thought that Jeremy was one of those guys that all he had to do was just fight him in a phone booth.
Yeah.
And he was struggling to do that. He had moments obviously in the second round, but in the first, he was struggling to do that. There was a lot of things that he could have done differently. I wonder how much his confidence was ruined from his last performance with the Movlid situation.
Yeah.
I was just having the pretty much the fight in the bag almost, right? But then giving up that round in the third, we should have been able to step the takedown or get your back off the fence. You weren't able to do it. And so just having that little bit of confidence. There's tough fighters out there. I was doing the same thing that you were doing, though, in round 3 against him and Borch. I'm like, this is when Jeremy or when Adam starts to kind of not wilt under pressure, but kind of just lets the fight play out. And it's like,
he waits. Yeah,
there's no sense of urgency. It's like, let's just see what happens. Well, what happens is you fucking lose him. That's what happens normally. And so, the fact that he didn't let it get away from him was very important. So, good on him.
He looked good.
What other fights?
We had Magomed Umlatov taking on Anthony Ivy. He just destroyed him. It was from the very beginning. Umlatov showed how good he is. He's only got the one loss, and he put it on Anthony Ivy. Hit him with shots, put him face down, ass up. It's not a good position to be in, but he really looked good.
Anything else?
I want to say that, the Sarek Shields versus Joseph Luciano, I was impressed with Sarek Shields. Shields showed, man, he was a dog. He was tough. He was tenacious with his wrestling. He's physically strong. He freaking had a gas tank, because we saw Joseph Luciano take a lot of Logan Storley's best as far as grappling and still get himself back up. And I tell you what, I thought Shields handled Luciano better than Logan Storley did.
Yeah. Let's wrap up our PFL talk. And George, you got anything for us? Why don't you give us one news thing?
All right, we could do one little news thing.
One.
So, here's what I personally think is the most interesting. Is during Kamaru Usman's weigh-in, we seen an appearance from the former baddest man on the planet for the UFC, Francis Ngannou.
FN.
I mean, some may argue he is still the lineal champion of the UFC. Some argue. But do you think this adds any more merit to ideas of him coming back, perhaps, to the UFC? Or is this more... I feel like the UFC knows what they're doing, letting him show his face. They've blocked him out. So do you think this adds a little more merit to it? Or is this just him supporting his buddy?
Go ahead, Josh.
John, I want to say it adds more merit to it, but probably not.
It does not. Let's be honest. Okay, you're going to sit there and say, does it add more merit to the fact that he might be coming back to the UFC? He's got a contract. Yeah. Same as John Jones has a contract. Francis Ngannou's got a contract. And they're not going to let him out of that contract. He can work his way all the way through it. But he's had how many fights for the PFL? One. Okay, I guarantee that contract is for more than one fight. Okay. So let's say it's for 4, which I would actually kind of think probably 6. But let's say it's for 4. It's taken him how long to do the one fight for him? Unless they trade him back to the UFC.
That's where I'm at.
That's the only way I could see it happening.
That's where I'm at right now. I really believe they're trading away all their high value items. We'll give you John Jones. You give us somebody, another 2 fighters. And I actually think they go with the older fighters that have a little bit of name value, that they know that they're on the end of their career, so that the PFL can start building up some of the younger fighters on there. Now, that doesn't mean those fighters are going to fight, though. Like, if you were to say, hey, if the UFC was like, hey, just hypothetical, total hypothetical. It's like Kamaru Usman won tonight. Kamaru's older. Let's trade off Kamaru. We want Francis so we can make that fight with John Jones. Like I said, total hypothetical. Yeah. But we'll give you Colby Covington. See you later. Like Colby's done. We're it is what it is. And then, we'll take Francis. I could see something. These are all hypothetical situations, people. I don't want you guys going, oh, you're an idiot, this and that. I'm literally throwing out trades that, you could say, hey, these are older fighters with name value that we could potentially have our younger guys fight. That's really what it would be. And then they get their big money fight that John Jones wants, and so he can stop holding up the division, and just start fighting. So who knows? I don't know, but I mean, do I think it'll happen? I don't think it'll happen. I think that Dana is. He's been known to bury the hatchet though for money, John.
Oh yeah. Oh, look, if it's no different than what I was told by the Fertittas. Business is business and friendship is friendship. But man, you could piss me off, but if it's going to help my business, I'll do it. And that's all right. You know what? That's the way John, they work, and that's why they are where they're at.
Think about this. Steven Espinoza and Dana White fucking hate each other, but they work together just long enough to make hundreds of millions of dollars. For the Floyd and the Conor situation. Yep. They will work. Dana, I don't think he thinks twice about Don Davis. But look, you have a fighter there that I would like to have, and you have him under contract. You could sell me his contract, and I give you a fighter that I'm probably don't need or want anymore. Like, it can be done. I'm surprised, to be honest, that the PFL is not reaching out to the UFC more and going, "Hey, I have this champion. Okay, give me these two, or give me who would you want to trade, and I'll give you these two. Like, get rid of your high priced items, bring in some ones that are a little bit lower priced, or equally priced but have a bigger name. That just makes sense, right? Like the Colby Covington name just comes across. I get it, but John, big name, talking mouthpiece. I mean, it makes sense, right? Bring in, if the PFL could pick him up and give Francis to them for John Jones.
Let me ask you a question. Colby Covington beat Jason Jackson?
No.
Yeah. Why do you want him? Is he going to beat that?
Well, he's not going to fight Jason Jackson. He'll fight that Gene, or he's going to fight Logan Storley. Now, him and Logan would be fun. I mean, I'm a wrestling nerd, though, so when it comes to that kind of stuff, it wouldn't be fun probably for the fans. Logan would out-wrestle him.
But, it's funny because, other promotions have kind of used Francis Ngannou's name, as far as, even KSW. You heard what they were talking about with Eddie Hall.
Yeah. And Eddie's rather fuck the devil.
I'd rather have the devil fuck me up the ass than fight Francis Ngannou. I was like, that's possibly the greatest answer I've ever heard from a guy who just won a fight. That's pretty fucking straightforward. I don't think he wants to do that fight.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that hard to fight that guy.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I would like to see it. We know the UFC has been open to trades. I know there's been some fighters that they tried to trade with Scott Coker several times. Not just one time, but several times. And it didn't come to fruition, but I would like to see something like you have guys in the PFL that are rotting away, or guys that are just like, hey, I'm just kind of fighting on my contract so I can try to get to the UFC. But whatever. Francis is a guy that he's like kind of the unicorn that got away before we could actually fight him against John Jones. And I could see the UFC like being, if we can get him over here to fight John Jones in a time where we're struggling right now with the heavyweight division and John himself.
Anytime you can bring in a legitimate heavyweight.
Yeah.
That's big because there are just not that many of them.
I agree. But that's fight to match. I don't know if the UFC will get it done, but that would be something.
So let's talk about this. We have a guy that was traded to the UFC, and Ben Askren, who's got a health issue. And Ben was medically put into a hospital in Nevada based upon having pneumonia and having basically sepsis. He's got infection going all through his body. They moved him to Wisconsin. Have you heard anything else as far as what's going on? I'm hearing he needs a transplant now.
A lung transplant.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
No.
That's what I've heard. I can't verify it. I haven't talked to DC about it at all. I just know that he is. I heard he's in Wisconsin, from what I understand, closer to home.
Yeah.
I mean, all we can really do is just pray for him and hope for the best. And, I think if anyone knows him, he's a fighter. Obviously, not just a fighter in terms of in the cage, but like someone he's been down, he's been out, and people have counted him out, and he's always found a way to win, So Mr. Funky will find his way to funky his ass right out of this, is what I think everyone's hoping for. And no matter how you feel, think about Ben as the way he was as a fighter, he is a fucking fantastic human being.
Yeah.
The guy that just lets things slide off of his back, doesn't care what people say about him. And I know that people have said some fucking horrible things about him. There was literally some idiot cuck on fucking Instagram or X or whatever it was, basically saying like, remember, this is the guy that tried to tell people not to take the vaccine. Shut the fuck up.
Jesus Christ.
Well, this guy, he's on his deathbed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that people felt the need to chime in and say some stupid shit like that. Anyways, I know I made it negative. I want to make it positive. From the Wayne In podcast, from Big John, for myself, Keto George, Podcast Dave, everybody that's ever worked on this podcast. Brother Ben, we miss you. We want to see you walk out of that hospital. We want to see you with your family again. And nothing but love for you. And we're praying for you, buddy.
Yeah, please, everyone out there, just if you hit your knees, give a prayer for Ben. He deserves it. He's a good man. So,
absolutely. One of the greatest guys.
George, anything else?
All clear here.
All clear. We're good for the night. Okay.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. John McCarthy, Josh Thompson. I'm here in Denver in this beautiful facility. John's in the comfort of his own home. So is Keto George. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll try to get some extra shows out for you guys this week. I'll be doing this for the next week, and then I go home for a week, and then I'm gone for 2 weeks doing this from the iPad again for the next 2 weeks after that. So all of June is a disaster for the next 10 years of my son's life. So,
well, let's see. I think next week I got to go to Vegas to teach a command course. So, yeah. I'll be doing this remotely too.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in Vegas as well for.
That's right. That's right.
So for the broker fights, and they're in.
Well, then you can come over. Oh, well, that's a little too far.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure it out because my flight's out. I think I leave that night, at midnight. So
you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm fucking out of there, man. My flights will end by like 10 o'clock, and it's an hour and 15 minutes. I'm gonna try to just jump on my midnight flight and get the fuck out.
Getting out. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Well, for everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Element for sponsoring our show. Everyone, if you get a chance, try Element. Fantastic. It's got 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. We appreciate them supporting the show. And for everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. We will see you.